Welcome to Is It Wrong to Watch So Much Anime with Jason and John, as we give you a quick 15 to 20 minutes of inside opinion and updates about the world of anime as we see it. This program is brought to you by the Parker Williams Branch, a Harris County Public Library. Let's go over the rules. This is a planned topics podcast. We will try and stick to the topic at hand and not have too many tangents. Number 2, while recording, we will have a 15-minute timer. We will try to wrap everything up within that 15 minutes. If we are having a good conversation towards the end of that time, there will be a bonus 5 minutes to wrap it up. Number 3, if the conversation is still too good to stop, we will stop recording that episode and start recording an overtime episode back-to-back released on the same day. And a fair warning, spoilers happen. Oops, our bad. Hello and welcome to this episode, this very special Halloween episode of Is It Wrong to Watch So Much Anime?
It's not, but that's the same answer you're going to get every week, or whenever these things go live.
So, I am John, this is Jason.
Hello.
And the first thing that we're going to talk about is an anime that actually happens on Halloween. Halloween's not really a big holiday in Japan, which is okay. Some people still dress up. They look at it more as a novelty than anything else. But the first thing is an anime that actually happens on Halloween, and that is the Cowboy Bebop movie.
Which is a really good movie, which is part of an even gooder show. That's a word. But,
more gooder show.
Mm-hmm. Cowboy Bebop.
So, one of the first Paramount scenes is the main character Spike from the series and everything, and the main bad guy in the movie, Vincent, fight on top of the Halloween tower that says Happy Halloween on the tower. Yeah. It's a really awesome fight.
It's really well choreographed too, just because you can tell that it's two different fighting styles just through the animation alone. So that's one of the high points of the movie. Not just the fact that it takes place on Halloween, which, hey, fits our whole theme, but it uses it really well. You're fighting on a tower. It's literally called, Halloween Tower. And there's so much Halloween imagery that we couldn't, not include it.
Also, another interesting part is that when he goes in and Vincent pays a hacker to hack into the government systems, and it's like this flying pumpkin with wings that goes, Happy Halloween.
You could probably try to put that on our video.
Maybe, if I can find it. Also, the reason why he goes to fight Vincent in the Halloween Tower is that poisonous gas is going to be released by huge inflatable pumpkins at a Halloween parade.
Jack-o'-lantern gas bombs, man.
So kind of a mix of Spider-Man and 1984 Batman. If you haven't seen it, 1984 Batman.
I haven't seen it, I'm sorry. I don't really watch videos that are older than I am.
It's the Keaton Batman, very first one, directed by Tim Burton. Also, huge parade float balloons filled with poisonous gas that the Joker's going to unleash on Gotham. So, which
is par for the course for the Joker.
Pretty much. But last but not least, one of the favorite things that a lot of fans have about this movie is that Ed and Ein go trick-or-treating.
Yeah. I mean, who doesn't like trick-or-treating? It's free candy.
Free candy.
And you can even phone in your costumes and people would still give you free candy. And I know because I phoned in my costumes. So,
moving on,
like free candy.
We've got lots of different stuff. So we're going to move on to monsters. There's lots of monsters in anime, but we're going to kind of go with like traditional type of monsters and vampires. When it comes to demons and stuff like that, we'll have a different Japanese demon episode probably in the future, just so that we can go specifically into different anime that have that sort of different feel to it.
Yep.
So first up is Promised Neverland.
Which aired, I think, winter 2018. So if you haven't seen it, you should probably get on that.
Yep. So it's basically an orphanage for children. They take tests, they go out and play. It's this fun, happy place, except that it's also a farm.
A human farm.
For smart kids with nice, tasty brains. So
yes. So, like you said, the premise is they're basically being raised for slaughter. That's their whole point of existence. And the actual monsters that show up, they don't show up for more than maybe an episode or two. But
Sure.
I don't think that's a bad thing. You see them, and they are, terrifying. And these kids who are significantly younger than us, it's obviously going to be traumatizing to them. And then they're not seen for the rest of the show.
So, and then there's a duality. And the duality comes in with who is more the monster who eats the kids, or the monster that's raising them for the slaughter. So the main character,
Spoiler
the mom, is she a monster for raising these kids to be eaten?
Or is she just also a human who's doing her best to survive? I think I like that it brought that up too, because in one of the episodes she's asked, why did you raise me if I'm just going to be killed? And she says it is the only way for her to survive. So I like when they give you monsters that aren't just monsters, but there's obviously conflicting information. And that's great, because the actual monsters, since they're mostly unseen, they're still in the background. They're there. And I think the show utilizes that really well, because those kids are always being afraid once they find out what they're really made for. But the mom is still there, ever present, getting them ready to send them off.
So just remember, if you're a smooth-brained kid, you're going to get eaten first. If you're an intelligent kid, you'll be eaten last.
But you will always get eaten. So it's not really the best world to live in.
Season 2 is coming up pretty soon, so you might want to check that one out. From all the manga covers, it looks like after the kids escape, spoiler alert, they become freedom fighters. But we'll see in Season 2 how that goes. Next one is a vampire series. There are 2 series. It's Hellsing and Hellsing Ultimate. So Hellsing is basically your typical vampire rules. So you've got a master and apprentice vampire. If a vampire drains a human completely, they become a ghoul. If a vampire gives their blood to another person and they drink it, then they become like a subservient vampire. In this series, the master vampire is Alucard, which, guess what? That's Dracula backwards.
That also took me an inordinately long amount of time to figure out. I don't know why, because once it was pointed out, I'm like, oh, maybe I'm just dumb.
Also used in the Castlevania series on Netflix as well. So the subservient vampire is Ceres Victoria, who's a police girl, in which he calls her that all the time. Morgan. Yeah. Well, yeah.
She's the British one, right?
Yes.
Okay. Because I've only seen like 2 of the 10 episodes, so I'm not as caught up as the rest of the world.
In this world, they also use various nobles to crush and fight the different monsters. So you've got Sir Integra Helsing, and this lady's real kick butt lady. Doesn't want to be called lady, wants to be called Sir, because she is knighted. And then the original series is kind of its own thing, but Hellsing Ultimate stays directly with the manga, which includes bloodthirsty Nazis. So Nazis come back to try and take over England and do
Nazi stuff.
Well, yeah, Operation Barbarossa, which was taking over of England. Barbarossa. It was Barbarossa.
Are you mixing up your Helsings?
Probably.
I mix up my full medals, so it's okay.
No, I'm mixing up my operations.
Oh, okay.
In World War II. It was the operation to take over England. So they pretty much almost succeed in that if it's not for Sir Integra and the other knights, as well as Alucard and Ceres Victoria. Yeah. So, some classic body horror. So, if you have ever seen Akira,
which I had not seen before, like Saturday, I'd been holding off on it just for the longest time, and this podcast gave me a reason to watch it.
So Akira is a 1988 film in which it started cyberpunk along with Blade Runner. It really made the genre what it is, how there is dystopian as well as technology, as well as like cybernetics, all involved into one to make cyberpunk what it really is. So in this, the body horror aspect focuses on Tetsuo. And Tetsuo, in a gang fight, runs into a kid that is an Esper.
He looks like an old dude. I assume that's just the way their powers have affected them. But Yeah. And once he gets those, he it's like those great power comes great responsibility, only he just saw great power and now he just wants to be powerful. He wants to show everyone that he's not the little twerp that people think he is. And that never works out well.
Well, not because he and Kaneda grew up in an orphanage, and Kaneda always took care of him.
Which normally you just say thank you, not try to kill them. But
true.
I guess when scientists work on your mind and stuff, you get a little in the brain.
So in his power and his mutation, it kind of represents the potential for destruction in man. So the drive he has is only to destroy things, only to get revenge, to prove himself instead of the greater good. So in that, we see the mutation of body and mind to represent this drive for unyielding power.
Also, probably why he keeps going after Kaneda's bike. As soon as he gets out of the hospital, that's like the first thing he does. He tries to take it for a joyride. And I think it kicks him while he's down that he manages to drive it. It stalls on him, and then he still gets beat up. And that's also kind of what kickstarts him to Crazy Town.
Yup. So, things to keep in mind. It happens to happen during a pandemic.
Yes.
On an Olympic year.
So in the movie, they're talking. It's 2019. But they're getting ready for the Olympics that was supposed to happen in 2020, and then, it's life imitating art. I think is how you describe it. And I mean, given the ending of that movie, I highly doubt they also got their 2020 Olympics. Yeah. So sorry, Japan.
So this also moves on to a series of other body horror movies. They're kind of like B movies, black and white. 1989, Tetsuo the Iron Man, in which the guy rots out parts of his body and uses maggots to eat it so that he can replace it with metal. He gets killed in an accident, and then the guy who killed him in the accident, slowly but surely his body is replaced by metal as well. 92, there was Tetsuo 2, the Body Hammer, in which a man becomes in which he becomes a killing machine made out of metal to save his kidnapped son. And then in 2009, it was Tetsuo the Bullet Man. After his son is hit by a car, he transforms his body piece by piece into metal to get revenge against the person who ran him over.
So this Tetsuo can't catch and break.
Yep. So just so you know, don't name your child Tetsuo, otherwise it's going to be a stream of tears.
One of the things I really liked about the movie is that they animated it really well. And you can tell that when the body horror kicks in, because it is disgusting.
Yeah.
It was gross. I'm sorry.
So,
he was melting into goo and absorbing everything around him, which I liked. I mean, you can't really romanticize body horror.
No.
And they know that, so they go the complete opposite direction and get you something that looks so gross. But that would terrify the living daylights out of you.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, normal people, because his girlfriend ran to him.
That was...
Well, I think the artist did really good on that.
Also, keep in mind, Akira is also the movie that brought anime to America. It is Paramount.
I've heard
it was the first manga that was wide release published by Dark Horse. And Dark Horse is now Marvel.
They were DC?
No, Dark Horse is Marvel.
Oh, I'm thinking Vertigo. Never mind.
So Dark Horse picked it up and started doing mass production in the United States. So this movie really kickstarted anime in the 1980s to come to America, to where you can access it in like 5 different streaming channels.
That's true.
So moving on to some more body horror.
I think 5 might be on the low end, but it's okay.
Wow. Parasite Maxim.
That one's also a really good show. I can't recall if it's on Crunchyroll or anything, but I know for sure it's on Netflix. So if you haven't watched it, it's pretty good. Essentially, parasites appear on Earth, right? The way they work, they inject themselves into your bloodstream, and their goal is to take over your head because they're parasites, your brain. So kill the host and then live as that person. And then, find food. So the main character, Shinichi, gets one. But since he's awake when it happens, he notices it and he starts cutting off circulation from the arm, which is where that parasite is. And instead of dying, it chooses to become symbiotic with him. So whereas the body horror in Akira was disgusting, and I know I said it's not romanticized exactly, but it looks much cooler in this show because as soon as they have control of the body, the parasites can literally just morph it to however they need to. They take, if you see a clip, you can even get an image of it because it's there. The head literally starts coming apart and then it turns into blades, right? And that's really cool. I mean, it's gross still, but it's not as bad as Akira.
Yeah, it's not that mutation explode and then absorb and re-explode.
Yes. But like I said, the ones that don't have that, because the symbiotic relationship is very unique to that whole story. It doesn't happen often. So the rest of them are out there just trying to eat humans, from what I remember.
So moving on to some psychological horror. So like Norman Bates, I would never hurt a fly. We go into When They Cry. So we talked a little about that on our, I think, podcast where we talked about
fall shows, maybe?
Yeah, fall shows.
I think I brought it up.
Let's see here. So it's 1983. Town has a secret. There is a curse where someone either dies or goes missing every single year, and it's blamed
for about 5 years.
And it's blamed on the local deity Oyashiro-sama. And in this, there's some kind of timeline that jumps back and forth. Might have to do with the first series, since this is kind of like a remake-ish series.
This series, the new one, I haven't watched it. I watched the first episode, and then I saw that it was adding some new stuff that I probably wouldn't have gotten if I didn't watch the first series. So I went back and watched the 2 seasons, because it's Higurashi and Higurashi Kai. And I actually really liked it. Horror is not usually my thing. As much as I like Parasite and stuff, these are all just genres that happen to have horror aspects. And this one's not that different. I mean, it mixes in mystery with it. So I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought. Because you're watching through all these horrific things that happen, especially in the first season. It's not a spoiler at this point, because if you've seen the first episode, you know that it's going to end with friends being, beat to death with a bat.
Yeah.
But these characters are inherently, good kids. So the bigger mystery, the overarching mystery is what's happening to them? Why are they breaking bad? Why are they torturing each other, killing each other? And then the timeline's reset. So I think one of the bigger draws was you stick through all the violence because you get clues every time it goes. And then you see if they act differently or what they can do to overcome all this. And that's what I really liked about it. Well, so I'm hoping the new series does that too.
So as we follow around Kaiichi, we get little, like it starts out as like a slice of life 1980s type anime, and then there are just these touches of Psycho, where you get we're like la 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 la, it's going along, and then it's like,
and they draw those faces really well because they make it all cute.
They make a little cheesy.
They make it really cute, kind of cheesy. But then when it's time for to show you that they're actually maybe not as sane as it looks,
it's sharp and it's clear instead of like a soft light filter.
And it can throw you because it's like
instantaneous. It's like 3 seconds of a whole episode, and it just throws it the other direction. Moving on to some more psychological horror, there is School Live. Basically, really it's a world in which zombies are out and about doing their zombie thing, and a group of girls are stuck in a school while their friend Yuri is in complete shock, and she's pretty much making up this world that everything is back to normal, and all of her friends are trying to shelter her from reality so her fragile mental state doesn't break.
That was like a first episode spoiler, so you don't even have to worry. You can watch it from then on. I started it because my friend recommended it to me, and I kind of knew that it was something like that. And what the show does really well for that first episode is it kind of tricks you. The opening is a super happy, bubbly song. It shows no zombies at all. It shows all the friends and everything, right? Everything looks normal. But as you're going through that first episode, you start noticing the not everything's as it seems. You see broken windows, you see little splatters of blood, stuff like that. And then at the very end, you see it. It pans out. It shows Yuki standing there, smiling because she thinks she's with her friends. But all around her, there's just broken glass. It's dark red, showing you that it's actually it's way worse than what she has going on in her head. But I like psychological horror stuff more than just regular horror, because I like getting into the heads of the characters. It shows you how all these things affect them and what they do to cope, if they can. And the way Yuki does is she copes by making a world where none of her friends or loved ones are dead. She wants them all alive and happy, and she's going at school. Even though she lives at school, she, I guess, swallows these little inconsistencies because she doesn't want it to break that illusion she has. One of the bigger draws of the show is, as it goes, you get to see how her mind is kind of showing her this isn't real, right? You have to be, you need to be healthy so you can help your friends, because her friends care about her too, the ones that are alive, and actually alive, and it still affects them when they're trying to actually pull off some missions to get their gear and stuff. So for me, one of the better draws of the show was watching her trying to, we can edit that probably, trying to overcome it and see if she can live with the actual reality where everything's not okay, but she still has a small group of people that care about her. And I really liked that. I was surprised by how much I liked it. I thought it was going to be a cute show with, cute girls doing cute things. And it was a little bit more than that. And I was pleasantly surprised.
All right. So, last but not least is some of our Map of Magic in Zombieland Saga.
That one's a great one. And that we're ending on a lighter note, because all that other stuff is kind of dark and a little depressing, but this one is just funny. So I really enjoyed that one.
It is girls.
I say that about every anime I watch, almost every anime I watch.
Girls from all eras being brought together from the dead to revive the Saga Prefecture as idols.
Yes, zombie idols, which I think is a pretty novel twist on idol shows. I haven't seen that many, granted, but this one was really funny because it throws in.
Well, they have to deal with all of
being dead.
With being dead, along with all of the undone business from their past life as they move forward into the future of Ren Xiaoxiu. So there's lots of, like, in the early episodes, there's lots of zombie-human interaction where they are trying to come to grips with this and overcome, like, how am I a zombie in a human world? And then we also have the main guy, Kotaro Tatsumi, who loves, like,
the best character of the show.
Yeah, he is.
He's great.
And his yelling. Stupid zombies!
Yes.
And somehow the main girl, Sakura Minamoto, there's something between the two of them because they knew each other 10 years ago. And he picked a bunch of people
before she died
from a bunch of different eras and her.
And all the ones from the different eras were idols, I guess, in their own times. Yes. So he brings a bunch of,
except for that one,
famous ones, and then there's just Sakura there. Yeah. So she obviously has more to do with it, which we'll probably find out in the second season.
Season 2, Revenge.
Yes. I'm excited for that one too. It comes out next year.
Yep. Also, just so you know, you can watch it in Japanese, you can watch it in English. The dub is just as good. And just like in the third season of Snafu, there is a rap battle. So you get to see rapping zombie idols.
And that was really fun. I don't know if it was the rapping one, but I think it was the rapping one. They have a lot of body humor as opposed to horror. They're zombies. They're dead. So if they get wounds, things fall off. You can't hide it, per se. So in one of it's either the rap battle or one of their other concerts, a head actually pops off.
Wasn't the metal one?
Maybe. And they had to pass it around and stick it back on her. And people thought, well, this is just part of the show.
This is special effects. Wow.
Which, good thing it's a 21st century type thing. But things like that are what really sold me on the show, because it's just funny. It does not every zombie show has to be dark and horrifying. It can be funny, and
Light
it's
and
got good music
Mm-hmm.
too, which also sells the show. I mean, as
Which
with
you
most
can
idol shows.
find on.
Apple Music, I think, is what
Yes.
you told me, which is cool. I
So
mean,
you can actually buy the Fran Show album.
yes. Oh, and I also like it's a kind of a running gag, but
Mhm.
when they have to put makeup on them so people can't see that they're dead, and he just sprays their face, coats it up. That one's really funny.
Yep.
The show is great. You should all give it a watch.
Yes, definitely. Especially before the second season comes out.
It's on. I want to say both
I think it's on
Crunchyroll and
Crunchyroll
Funimation,
and
but I know
Funimation.
it's on Funimation for sure.
With the English,
Mhm.
definitely.
So it's definitely worth watching.
All right. So we've covered Halloween-specific monsters, body horror, psychological horror, and zombies.
Yes.
So I think it's time for you guys to go and watch some anime. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.